The night my marriage ended, he didn't shout. He smiled. That smile hurt more than any slap. He leaned back on the sofa, crossed his legs, and said casually, "You should be grateful." Most women would beg to stay. I was standing in front of him, holding a cup of tea that had gone cold. My hands were shaking, but I didn't let him see it. "You bring nothing to this marriage anymore," he continued. "No money, no value, just drama." Every word landed like a knife. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask when I became nothing, but my throat closed. Silence felt safer than tears. That was the moment I realized this wasn't an argument. This was an execution. We weren't always like this. Once he used to hold my hand in public, like he was afraid of losing me. We dreamed together, planned everything together. When he had nothing, I stood beside him like a wall. I paid bills without complaining. I gave up opportunities because he said, "Just wait, I'll take care of you." And I believed him. When he got promoted, I celebrated. When his income grew, I managed the house so he could focus. I was proud of him, maybe too proud. Success didn't change him overnight. It changed him slowly. He stopped asking my opinion, stopped explaining his decisions, started reminding me whose money we were living on. At first it was jokes, then sarcasm, then disrespect, and I kept quiet because I loved him. The insults became normal. "If you were smarter, you'd own something. My friends' wives are achievers. You're lucky I still keep you." Each line chipped away at me. I started doubting myself. Maybe I really was just extra. One evening during dinner with guests, he laughed and said, "She wouldn't survive 1 month without me." Everyone laughed. I smiled too. That night I cried in the bathroom so he wouldn't hear. Something inside me cracked, but I still didn't break. The divorce papers came on a random Tuesday. No warning, no discussion. He placed them on the table like a restaurant bill and said, "Sign it. Let's not make this ugly." I looked at the papers. My name looked unfamiliar, like it belonged to someone weaker. "You'll leave the house," he added. "It's in my name. You can take your clothes. That's fair." Fair, he leaned forward, eyes confident. "You don't have a job, no savings, no support. Think carefully before you sign." That was the first time I looked straight into his eyes and saw it clearly. He thought I was helpless. I picked up the pen and signed. I left that house with 2 suitcases and a heart heavier than both combined. No drama, no begging. He watched from the door like a king watching a servant leave. Outside, the air felt different, colder, quieter. I walked until my legs hurt. Then I sat on a bench and cried. Not loudly, not beautifully. I cried like someone whose world had collapsed in silence. I checked my phone. No missed calls, no messages. That hurt, but it also freed me, because for the first time in years, I didn't have to prove my worth to anyone. I didn't know it yet, but that silence, that was the beginning of something dangerous. The first week alone was brutal. No luxury, no comfort, no familiar walls. I rented a tiny room near the city, thin mattress, cracked mirror, a window that barely opened. At night, the silence screamed louder than his insults ever did. But something strange happened. For the first time, no one told me I was useless. No one laughed at my dreams. No one controlled my time. I woke up early every morning, not because someone ordered me to, but because I wanted to survive. And survival slowly turned into focus. I went through old emails one night, searching for documents I needed. That's when I found them. Files, notes, plans, business strategies I had written years ago, ideas he once laughed at, market insights, growth models, even cost-cutting plans he had dismissed as cute thoughts. My hands froze. He hadn't created the company's smartest moves alone. I had. My research, my late nights, and he never gave me credit. Instead of anger, something colder filled me. Clarity. I wasn't weak. I was erased. And erased people become dangerous when they remember who they are. I reached out to one person I trusted, an old contact who once offered me a chance. Back then, I had said no. Marriage came first. This time, my voice didn't shake. I'm ready, I said. They didn't hesitate. Within days, I was working again, not as a favor, but because my mind still worked sharp, maybe sharper than ever. I stayed quiet. I learned fast. I worked harder than anyone noticed. No announcements, no social media, just results. Money started coming in, slowly at first, then faster. Each paycheck healed a small part of me. Each success felt like a brick added to a new foundation. 6 months later, I walked past a glass building downtown and stopped. His company logo shined above the entrance. I didn't feel pain. I felt curiosity. Inside, I saw tired faces, pressure, chaos. He had grown careless, overconfident. And that's when I understood something important. People who underestimate others always expose themselves. Through my work, my name began circulating in rooms he wasn't invited to anymore. Meetings happened without him. Decisions changed. He didn't know it yet, but his empire was cracking. And I was standing on the other side, calm, prepared, invisible. The invitation arrived on a Thursday morning, a leadership summit. Media. And his company was in trouble. They needed a solution. They needed me. When I entered the room that day, conversations stopped mid-sentence. I didn't dress to impress. I dressed to dominate. Then our eyes met. Shock, fear, regret. The man who once said I had no value couldn't even stand straight. I didn't smile. I didn't speak first. I simply took my seat at the head of the table. That was the moment he realized I hadn't survived. I had returned. The room felt smaller with him in it. He kept stealing glances at me, like he was checking if I was real. The confident man I once knew was gone. In his place sat someone unsure, sweating under pressure he could no longer control. The meeting began. Charts appeared on the screen. Losses, delays, falling trust. Investors whispered. Board members shifted in their seats. Then someone said my name. Let her speak. I stood slowly, not rushed, not nervous. I spoke about solutions, not emotions, numbers, structure, strategy. Every sentence landed clean and sharp. Heads nodded. Pens moved fast. He stared at the table. These were the same ideas he once mocked. Now they were saving his company. And I delivered them without mentioning the past. That silence hurt him more than anger ever could. During the break, he finally approached me. I didn't know it was you, he said quietly. I looked at him, not with hate, not with sadness, but with distance. I know, I replied. He swallowed. You've changed. No, I said. I stopped shrinking. He tried to smile, the old charm slipping out of habit. I made mistakes. We both did. I didn't argue. I'm not here to fix memories, I said calmly. I'm here for business. That line ended the conversation. He stepped back like he'd been pushed, without being touched. By the end of the day, the decision was clear. The board wanted me to lead the restructuring, not advise, not assist, lead. The contract was placed in front of me, a Across the table he sat frozen. This time I held the power. Not loudly, not cruelly. I signed. As I did, his hand trembled, the same way mine once had when he placed divorce papers in front of me. He whispered, almost to himself, "I underestimated you." I met his eyes for the last time. "You did worse," I said. "You erased me." I stood up, gathered my files, and walked out, past the glass doors, past the logo, past the man who once thought I was nothing. I didn't feel revenge. I felt peace. Because winning isn't about destroying someone. It's about becoming so strong that their opinion no longer exists. Taking control didn't happen overnight. The company was wounded. Trust was broken. Systems were outdated. People were scared. I didn't lead with ego. I led with clarity. I listened more than I spoke. I rewarded honesty. I removed fear from the workplace. Slowly, the atmosphere changed. Productivity rose. Confidence returned. And him? He stayed quiet. For the first time, he reported to someone else. Me. He followed instructions without questions. No attitude, no sarcasm, just obedience mixed with regret. I never humiliated him. I didn't need to. Watching him accept my authority was enough. One evening, after everyone had left, he stood by my office door. "I was wrong," he said, "about everything." I didn't look up from my screen. "I loved you," he continued. "I just didn't know how to respect you." I finally met his eyes. "Love without respect is control," I said calmly. He nodded slowly. "Can we start again?" That question once would have shattered me. Now it barely touched me. "I already did," I replied. I stood, picked up my bag, and walked past him. Some doors close forever, not with anger, but with growth. A year later, the company was stronger than ever. New leadership, new culture, new success. And I no longer needed validation. I had built a life where my worth wasn't debated. It was obvious. Sometimes people ask me if I regret leaving that marriage. I smile. If he hadn't walked away, I might never have walked toward myself. This isn't a story about revenge. It's a story about power, silence, and self-respect. Because when someone tries to break you, and you rise instead, that's not revenge.